Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, as always, Gavin. And if you are hearing this, that means Justin and I are taking the week off of the podcast. Well, what does that mean for you? Back in January, I did a road trip with my girlfriend. We went down to the Southern California area, and I rented a Porsche 718 Boxster GTS 4-liter. That was a great time that we had. However, I have not been able to somehow recover the GoPro footage from that review. I did a whole shoot with it. I got flyby, I got audio from it, I got some interior GoPro, but the GoPro that was recovered was pointed over the front, not looking at me. I wanted to do either a picture-in-picture or show some dash footage, including the Sport Chrono clock that was on the dash. I thought that was kind of cool. Might have made for a nice cut point. Well, guess what? The other GoPro that was pointed at me, I can't for the life of me tell you what exactly happened. I know I was recording. I frankly put off ingesting that footage into our system, and I realized it when it was weeks later, and it was way too late. So I still have the audio from both my 718 GTS 4-liter review, and I also did a review of my friend Andrew's Turo. He also came down and rented a car, and he got a Cayman 718 GT4. I did get exhaust audio of that as well, which is very lovely, but both the Boxster footage and the GT4 footage, my in-car that was looking at me is gone, nowhere to be found. I could not tell you what happened to it. I don't want to make that an excuse necessarily. I just don't know what happened to it. If I knew what happened to it, or if I knew where it went, then we would make a video about it. But I don't know where it went, and I don't want to release a video where the camera never looks at me. So that kind of lands us here. So what you're about to hear is my review in audio form. What's interesting, so this is 2023 that I'm making this. But the first podcast that I actually ever made, not for Exhibition of Speed, but I had my own podcast. It was just a podcast. It was called Gearless. It was started off as a YouTube thing while I was in high school. At least that name was. And then years later, I wanted to do a podcast under that name. And with a co-host of mine, we ended up doing audio-only car reviews. We did a small handful. We did like a Mazda Speed 6, I think. There was definitely like a brand new at the time Subaru BRZ. And then there was like a first-gen Sentra that was involved, I think. And there were some other reviews that we tried to do, but that never took off anywhere. And so I thought, well, what if I kind of did like an odd throwback? We're still able to use the audio, and we can still do the Exhibition of Speed podcast, on the weekly basis. But Justin and I can, say take a Sunday and either film more reviews, for the YouTube, or just take a weekend and just like kind of decompress, because Justin and I lead very busy lives outside of here and also inside of here, funny enough. So let's just get into that review and see what a 718 Boxster GTS 4-liter is like to drive in the Malibu Canyons. Welcome to the only Porsche you might ever need. This is the 718 Boxster GTS 4-liter. And I'm on a beautiful canyon road in Malibu. And I almost have it all to myself. There might be a couple of people here, but that's fine. So, not to make this completely about me, but I turned 30 this week, and I figured as a fun birthday present to myself, and I've done this before on the channel, where I go to Southern California and rent a Porsche. I've done a bit better this time. This is a Porsche that doesn't sound like a Subaru. This is a 4-liter Flat-6, producing 395 horsepower and roughly, like 305 torque, going through a 7-speed PDK gearbox. It has a red line of 8,000 RPM. little yump there.
So I'm here with my buddy Andrew, and he is in what he believes is a better 718. He's here in the 718 GT4, also in PDK. And what's interesting is I can definitely tell, we've driven each other's cars, and I can tell easily that this is the better car for Southern California driving. I have shorter gears. I can put the top down and hear this amazing, this gorgeous Flat-6. How does Matt Farah do it? Jesus. The driving and talking thing really is a talent. And it's so refreshing to be driving a car that's so linear, so smooth, and so instant fucking taneous in the year 2023 when the gas engines are being replaced by turbo gas engines, and the turbo gas engines are being replaced by electric motors. So I'm not the first one, and I'm not going to be the last person to talk about this. But it's just so refreshing and such a delightful fucking experience to be driving a car that's so linear and responsive when everything else is walking away from that. And it's sonorous. Oh. Made it up perfectly with this PDK gearbox. And these gears are just long enough for me to really get out most of second, and this is a very tight road. I wanted to find a road that I hope you can hear that. I really do. It just turns in so hard. Can the GT4 be that much better than this? Probably not with me. Probably not with me behind the wheel on a road such as this. I'm gonna need a racetrack for that one. Now, unfortunately, the people who I have rented this from have not fitted this with the greatest tires. I have Pirelli P0s up front, which would be fine if the backs matched. The backs are some kind of winter-based all-season, so like a mud and snow all-season. That mixed with I'm not going to say tight suspension or stiff suspension. I'll say tight suspension. I am kind of bouncing around a little bit on this road. And it allows for that to happen. When the rear is so stiff and doesn't have the traction that the front does, and also has the drive wheels, that makes for a very tail-happy experience, which, as a rental, sure. It just makes me wonder what this car would be like if it had, you know, PS4S's all around. God, I feel like I'm just in a video game right now, and not because of like a fake electric steering or anything like that, but just with how hyper real this experience is. My God. Speaking of steering, it is electric. I don't care. Porsche knows how to make an electric steering. They really do. It's just communicative enough. It's super sharp. Especially, and that's the thing that you need on this kind of road. If I had a hydraulic rack that was less responsive and yes, was a bit more heavy and took a little bit more, I wouldn't enjoy it anymore. This road is just tight and squiggly enough, and the steering is also sharp and direct enough and communicative enough that I know when to apply throttle, especially if I'm Especially when I'm coming out of a corner. I do wish that I was able to hit up a road like an Angeles Crest where it does open up and you can really lay it down. Driving on a road like what I'm on, Latigo Canyon Road, for those that are in the area. Latigo Canyon is just such, like, it's a workout. It really is. And as I've caught traffic, I can talk about some other things that aren't necessarily the most hardcore driving things. So, this car's finished in a gorgeous shark blue. I think the name shark blue and the color of what shark blue is a little disconnected. I think that a shark blue is more of a gray because sharks are gray. But gorgeous color blue. We have some lovely contrast stitching. We have the sport chrono because we are GTS. That is part of the package. And the great thing about this is that it can do both ends of that spectrum. I can calm down. I can chill out. Yeah, I've been in sport this whole time. Let me put in Sport Plus. I think sport is the magic number for this car on this road because you get the louder opened exhaust baffles. If you keep it in drive, it stays in lower gears, but it's not quite as aggressive as Sport Plus. But it also doesn't have the full stiff suspension race car mode. And you're gonna want to absorb some bumps here. Now, I think, and I haven't really driven Andrew's car, his rental car, in much anger yet. However, I think, thank you, sir. As this car appears to be spec'd, and I haven't seen the Monroney, but I'm going to guess this is in the 130,000 ballpark. Well, what cars have we driven that are around there? 992, 911 can be had in there. The one that we had was spec'd to about 150. You know, I've always been the 911 guy. I haven't been a Boxster guy. Actually, this is the first Boxster I've driven. I've driven Caymans. I've driven 987, 981, sorry, I was about to say 982. That technically is what it is, but the 718, drove 718 base Cayman. I've always been more of a hardtop guy, and I think for 911s I'll stay that way. But when it comes to experiences, especially on, like, come on, it sells itself. I think I would take this over 992 Carrera. I think I would. The C8 that I drove, the owner was into it for 130, so that's purchase and markup and wheels and tires and that kind of stuff. Oh, thank you. God, I love California. Thank you. If we're talking sports car to sports car, and what I like in a sports car, and the things that you can do, and the way that the car makes you feel, I'm taking this over C8. I just am. Smaller footprint, more responsive engine. Yeah, more responsive engine. Still a great dual clutch. This feels more chuckable. Engine sounds, in my biased opinion, loads better engine. You still get a frunk, you still get a trunk. Trying to not die here. This engine just sounds great everywhere. At 4,000, 5,000. There's a little bit of an air-cooled bassy rumble in there. This car really is a dream. What would I like to see differently? I kind of wish I was on a better road for this car. But it's quiet when you want it to be and comfortable. It has radar cruise. It's in a great color. PDK is great, as we know. I wish I had better tires on it, frankly. But that's not a Porsche problem. That's a rental car company problem. All in all, happy fucking birthday to me. All right, let's go drive a GT4. All right, let's cut this.